PCIe Gen 4 NVMe SSDs haven't really been talked about that much, or pretty much ever since they were released alongside Ryzen 3000 CPUs. However, recently, ironically, it was the consoles that got the conversation about them started again, as the great publicity push that both Sony and Microsoft had going for them talk about how blazing fast the brand new storage will be in the brand new consoles. Well, obviously, the conversation quickly shifted over to the desktop as well. And recently, as a nice gift for myself for Black Friday, because yes, I'm so lonely I have to buy gifts for myself, I decided to get this Sabrent Rocket PCIe Gen 4 NVMe SSD. And because, well, I need more space, and because, well, it seems like a perfect time to install it together and go over exactly what kind of performance benefits you can actually expect from it. So then, firstly, what on earth do you even need if you want to run PCIe Gen 4? Because that's something that many people are kind of confused about, and for good reason. Firstly, on the AMD side, you're going to need either a Ryzen 5000 or a Ryzen 3000 series CPU. So that's running either Zen 2 or Zen 3 architecture. So the Ryzen 3000 APUs running on Zen Plus don't count. Then motherboard wise, you're gonna need either an X570 or B550 board. On the Intel side, well, unfortunately, right now you can't run PCIe Gen 4 devices. Even though the brand new Z490 motherboards do support PCIe Gen 4, the CPUs for whatever reason don't. So great logic there, Intel. But even if their current gen Comet Lake CPUs do not support PCIe Gen 4, their next gen, so the 11th gen Rocket Lake CPUs will. So if you have one of those CPUs in the future and a Z490 or whatever new chipset Intel is going to release by then you should be ready as well. And now let's actually unpack this thing. If I could actually get into it, that would be fantastic. What on earth is this? Oh, there we go. Look at this! It's inside a little cage thingy. Not cage, but box, you know what I mean. I don't know why I said cage. This, I'm loving this. It's like a nice little wallet thingy-ish thingy. And what always amazes me about NVMe SSDs is how tiny they are. Now, I don't have too much experience handling these. Pretty much the only two NVMes I've ever handled is the PCIe Gen 4 one I already have in my PC, and now this one. Just for some comparison, where is it here? This is a normal SATA SSD. This one has 240 gigs in it, and this is a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. Quite the difference there. Now, one thing you'll automatically notice about it is its lack of a heat spreader. And that's another thing many people have been confused about when it comes to Gen 4 NVMe SSDs. Do you need a heat spreader? Short answer, yes. Long answer, it's complicated. Because even though it does generate quite a bit of heat like other devices on your PC, the controller itself actually may decrease in performance if it gets too cool. So even though a heat spreader is recommended, you don't need to go out of your way to get one of those super cool heat sinks that's usually integrated with these Gen 4 NVMe's. And as you can see, my Aorus NVMe SSD does have a fancy little golden heat spreader, but that is by no means necessary. And what's also important to remember is that pretty much all motherboards nowadays come with at least one M.2 heat spreader pre-installed, which will look something like this, which will be more than enough for a Gen 4 NVMe. So if you don't buy yourself one with a heat spreader, like this one from Sabrent, then it's not the end of the world. This will serve you just fine. Then simply just remember to take off the little peel on the back so it actually makes contact with the little heat pad on the other side. Now, let's actually plug this bad boy in. And there we go, that's the whole thing mounted in. Now let's just assemble everything together, plug everything back in, and let's see exactly what kind of speeds we get from it. And if you will actually notice a difference if you decide to buy this NVMe. Okay, so I've installed it, everything is showing up. It's being detected as one of the drives, which it should say somewhere here. Yeah, there we go. There it is, the Sabrent Rocket 4.0 1 terabyte. But we're actually in a BIOS here for one good reason, because we'll be actually changing our PCIe slot speed here. We're going to be going from Gen 4 to Gen 3. Now I'm doing this because I'm planning to run a little test to see exactly what kind of speeds we're going to get with Gen 3. Then just go back into BIOS, change to Gen 4 and see what we get that time. And now that I have everything set up, I'm going to just simply grab a file from my other Gen 4, or at least right now, or Gen 3 NVMe, and then simply just check how long it's going to take to transfer. And because we're running between two identical in spec NVMe SSDs, neither one of them should technically be the bottleneck. So let's go with this 6.32 gig folder, which I use for all the resources and like templates and music and stuff like that which I need for my videos. I'm going to get a timer ready and see how long it's going to take us. Okay, so we got 22 seconds. So for a 6.7 gig folder, that's okay. Now let's bump up the speed to Gen 4 and see what changes. And we got 19.5 seconds. So definitely a bit of an improvement there. And that's just with a 6 gig file. So no matter how big or small your files are, if you get this NVMe SSD, you definitely expect to see between a small and a pretty noticeable improvement in transfer speeds. So now to install some games on this thing to see what loading times will be like. Okay, so it's actually the next day. Long story, I got busy working on other videos, but now, where did I put my phone? What is it saying? Oh yes, now we're going to check exactly how much the load times differ between Gen 3 and Gen 4 speeds. And for that, we're going to be using Shadow the Tomb Raider. So, let's start. Oh, okay, done. 11 seconds. Pretty good for such a big game. But now, let's try with Gen 4 speeds. And we got 11 seconds. Again, well then, that may not have been the best showcase of the capability of PCIe Gen 4 drives, but definitely doesn't mean that they're not worth your time. So if you're planning on buying this Sabrent Rocket or pretty much any PCIe Gen 4 drive, especially if you're working on really large projects, it can really come in useful. So I guess hopefully this thing helped to shed some light on what PCIe Gen 4 drives are all about. Anyway, my camera's yelling at me that I'm running out of storage, so I'm going to wrap it up. If you want to pick this up, our Amazon associates links are going to be down in the video description below. Download this on my Patreon if you want to help me there. Even $1 goes a long way. And also, I left to my Patreon, Gavin Burns and AKB. Thank you so much. Then there's also my Discord if you want to talk to me with this or whatever else really. And that's about it, so I hope you enjoyed this quick little video. If you did, subscribe, like, whatever, and I'll see you all in whatever I make next. Goodbye everyone. Goodbye.